Hey guys, this is Vesper. I'm going to be doing my Ryu breakdown this time, going over his normals, specials, his super move, and some other stuff with his V trigger. So I'll be using footage that I got from E3. So let's begin with movement. First off, Ryu, his movement seems kind of slowish at first, but when you compare it to the rest of the characters, I would say it's an average movement speed when he's walking forward. When he's walking backwards, it's a little slower, and that goes with his dashes as well. His forward dash is pretty good, it's average I'd say, and then his back dash is just a little bit slower. Whereas his jump, I'd say, is really good. Pros and cons wise, it's got a good speed and good distance, and that's nothing new for Ryu. Now let's talk about Ryu's standing normals. Ryu's standing light punch looks kind of weird because it looks like a close proximity version of his light punch, and it still hits opponents when they're crouching, even though it doesn't look like it does. And for the most part, this links into a lot of Ryu's crouching normals, like his crouching medium kick, for example. Ryu's standing medium punch, it looks really awkward too because it looks like it hits close, like his close medium punch in previous games. But this is a really good combo starter. This is when you really want to punish the opponent or frame trap them, and then it combos into itself and to a lot of things as well. It gives him a lot of frame advantage on hit. Now Ryu's standing hard punch, this is his first crush counter. When he lands a crush counter with this, it's a little different than other characters. They'll actually spin and get knocked down and fly away from Ryu. So you don't get much of a reward off this, but I don't know if you can combo into super or something like that before they land, because I haven't really done this in the corner and tested that. His standing hard punch looks a little safer, I would say though, than a standing hard kick, for example. And it comes out pretty damn quick too, and it has decent range. But I wouldn't consider this his main crush counter that I would use. Now Ryu's standing light kick, this is special cancelable. You can cancel this into a fireball. It's a really good poke because of it, and it's more of like the third strike version of a standing light kick. Ryu's standing medium kick is a very good footsie tool, very good poke. I don't know if it crushes lows, for example, but the range is still pretty good. It kind of feels like the evil Ryu version of the standing medium kick, almost. And then we have Ryu's standing hard kick. The standing hard kick is his second crush counter, and this I would say would be his primary one because it's what you normally would expect, where it stuns the opponent for an extended amount of time and you can follow up. If you get a crush counter with this normal, you have enough time to dash forward and then do a very punishing combo. Anything that starts off a standing medium punch, for example, like standing medium punch, crouching hard punch into his hurricane kick. So a lot of damage if you're fishing for it. It doesn't look too safe on block, and it's got an awkward hitbox. I don't know if you can use this as an anti-air, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could. But that's pretty much it for standing normals. Okay, so let's talk about Ryu's notable crouching normals now. Let's start with crouching medium punch. Ryu's crouching medium punch in Street Fighter V is actually pretty damn good. It's got excellent range. So they extend the range on it, and it's got really good speed. It starts up much faster than his crouching medium kick, because I was able to link into a lot of things into his crouching medium punch, where his crouching medium kick wouldn't work. For example, if I went crouching hard punch into a V trigger, I could link a crouching medium punch afterwards, but not a crouching medium kick. So keep that in mind. Now crouching hard punch, before in the alpha footage of Street Fighter V, this used to be a crush counter of his. It no longer is, and no longer hits 2 hits like it did before in previous footage. It's still a pretty damn good anti-air. Sometimes I get stuffed out of it, but for the most part, I would say it's a little bit more reliable than Street Fighter 4. But yeah, and it's a it gives Ryu a very good amount of frame advantage. Like I said, this would be like the primary normal, I would say, to frame trap with and cancel into V trigger. Ryu's crouching hard punch. Ryu's crouching light kick's got a little bit more range than you normally would expect, but nothing really to talk about there. Ryu's crouching medium kick is your special cancel normal of choice, I would say, because you're constantly canceling this into fireball. But like I said, it's a little bit slower in this game, the startup anyways. Ryu's crouching hard kick, this would be a good, punish, I guess, when someone's whiffing a normal, but you have to remember that crouching hard kicks in this game, they got a lot of recovery, man. And Ryu's crouching hard kick, you'll notice it the most, because a lot of people use this normal from Street Fighter 4 with Ryu. And if someone blocks this crouching hard kick, man, it feels like it's years before you recover. It feels like they can punish you with anything they want. So be very careful when you're just fishing with this normal. Another thing too is that when Ryu whiffs this crouching hard kick, his hurt box extends forward a little bit, making it extra easy for your opponent to punish you with their sweep, for example. I noticed a lot when I played against like a mirror match with Ryu versus Ryu when I was playing at E3. if I whiff the sweep and we're both the exact same range, and we both whiffed our sweeps at the same time, whoever threw it out first would get knocked down. So that's why I could tell the hurt box was extended. Okay, let's talk about Ryu's jumping normals. Let's start with his jumping medium punch. It still does 2 hits and it still juggles like you normally would think. I don't think you can do a jumping medium punch into just a normal dragon punch, for example. You can only do that if you only land one of the hits of the jumping medium punch and the other one whiffs, because it puts it into a juggled state. And I don't know if you can follow up with normals. I think you can still do jumping medium punch into an EX version of a special move though, but honestly I haven't seen it. Let's talk about his jumping medium kick. This would be your primary normal for doing cross-ups. So nothing new from Street Fighter 4. It's very, very reliable cross-up. Now Ryu's jumping hard kick is another really good normal to start your combos with and you're jumping on your opponent. But so is jumping hard punch. But the big difference is that Ryu's neutral jumping hard kick is very, very good in Street Fighter 5. Now it's just a full horizontal attack. So this is great for neutral jumping. You can really catch people on whiff throws and whiff normals, for example. It's really good, so make sure to abuse this normal when you're playing in the beta for Street Fighter 5. Alright, let's talk about Ryu's command normals now. Let's start with his forward medium punch. It's a traditional overhead, nothing really new. I couldn't really find anything to combo after it with. I really hope that you can V-trigger cancel all this, but you can't because you can't special cancel out of it. So for the most part, it's what you would expect. Next command normal is Ryu's forward hard punch. It still hits 2 hits, it still has a very slow startup, but it's got a lot of combo potential. So for the most part, it works just like Street Fighter 4. I just feel like Ryu has even more frame advantage after landing this hit. You can still link right into Dragon Punch if you want, but you can also do forward hard punch into standing medium punch, for example. Like, you can do some hard hitting combos if you happen to land it on the opponent. So this would be a really good normal to use, command normal to use when you're punishing your opponent. Now let's talk about Ryu's last command normal. This is actually a new one. This is back and hard kick. It looks like Ryu's close hard kick from Street Fighter 4. It does 2 hits. It does not hit overhead. I thought it would. I'm not really sure what you use this for. I guess you can use it to punish someone because you can link a Dragon Punch afterwards. And maybe a crouch. I think I have some footage of him linking something else, like a crouching light punch or something like that. But there is some frame advantage afterwards. But for the most part, I couldn't really find a use for this. You might be able to use it as an anti-air as well because it's got some vertical range on it. But yeah, it's worth knowing. Okay, target combo now. Ryu has a target combo in Street Fighter 5, and it's standing medium punch, standing hard punch, and standing hard kick. You could just do, medium punch into hard punch if you want. This is, I guess, kind of similar to Third Strike, where you had hard punch, hard kick as a target combo, which was kind of useless. But anyways, this would be good for people that are not too keen on doing combos. It's a decent punish. You can link this entire target combo after a forward hard punch command normal. But for the most part, that's what it's used for. You can't special cancel out of it. Alright, moving on to special moves now. We got Ryu's traditional fireball still in Street Fighter 5. As you would expect, the strength of the normal you use will determine the speed of the fireball. So light would be very slow, medium would be decent speed, and hard punch version of the fireball would be his fastest fireball. Still does 1 hit. It still doesn't knock down on hit or anything crazy like that. It's just a good zoning tool for Ryu. Now the EX version of this does 2 hits, comes out really fast, and it knocks down the opponent now. It's not like a red fireball like you would expect from previous games. Now it's like infused with lightning. So it looks pretty cool, but otherwise it's something you haven't seen before. Next special move for Ryu is his Hurricane Kick. The strength of the normal you use determines the distance it travels. I've heard some people say that the medium kick version hits crouching opponents, but I actually don't have footage of that. That's just me using the light kick version. But if it does, if someone could direct me to some footage to prove that, I would like to see it. But then again, the beta will be coming out soon. I'll be able to find out anyways. But it works just like you would expect. It can go through fireballs as long as it's through its active frames, not during its startup frames. What else can I talk about? It could be done in the air. When you do it in the air though, you can't cross up with it, which is like really, really weird, man, because I tried so long to do it, and when I was in the E3 lounge or the VIP room, I was watching Momochi on the cab trying to do it forever, and he couldn't do it either. So I thought I was just sucking and I couldn't get the timing down. I tried all the strengths, all these different angles, and it just could not cross up with it. Another weird thing too is that it doesn't build any EX meter when you do it in the air, when you whiff it in the air. So that was kind of odd as well. The EX version of the Hurricane Kick, Ryu is stationary, hits them multiple times, and then knocks them away. And you can also do it in the air, and it acts pretty much the same way in the air. You're suspended in the air until it's finished. One last thing I should talk about the Hurricane Kick is that Ryu loses all momentum when he's jumping away with it. So you can't like helicopter away, for example, and try to like make the timer tick down, or just to gain more real estate when you're trying to zone down your opponent. It doesn't really give you too much distance away from your opponent. Now let's talk about Ryu's traditional Dragon Punch special move. Light is fast, doesn't go as high, medium punch is in the middle, and then hard punch is max damage. These all seem to start out pretty damn fast in 3 frames, I think, but there is a purpose for each one. The light punch version of the Dragon Punch and the hard punch version are not that good anti-airs. You get stuffed quite a bit with it. You really have to input it early if you expect to anti-air with it, and I'll show you guys in the footage. A lot of attempts where I'm actually getting counter hit out of it. The medium punch, Dragon Punch, is the one you want to use as an anti-air because it's got the most invincibility frames. It never traded once when I used the medium version, but of course you won't get as much damage. The light punch version of his Dragon Punch is good for, I guess, you know, anticipating the opponent's attack and squeezing it out because it's a little hard to punish because it's so fast. And the hard punch version of his Dragon Punch is good for just combo finishers, basically combo filler, doing max damage on punishes and things like that. The EX version is also an excellent anti-air, and it hits twice and it does an insane amount of damage and stun. So you really want to punish your opponent every time he jumps and you guarantee an anti-air. I would suggest you use the EX version of it because it just does so much damage. Also keep in mind that you cannot V cancel any of his Dragon Punches. You can V trigger cancel it, so there is no FADC here. Okay, so moving on to Ryu's V trigger. Now Ryu's V trigger infuses Ryu with lightning and augments his 2 main attacks, his Fireball and his Dragon Punch, and then they're actually infused with lightning as well, which causes more damage and more stun on those special moves specifically. I don't know if any of his other attacks cause more stun because it's really hard for me to cross compare with footage, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. One unique thing about Ryu though, compared to most characters that have augmented specials when their V trigger is activated, Ryu does not lose any V gauge whatsoever on anything except for his super, so you can spam away pretty much. So let's start with his normal fireballs when you're enhanced with V trigger. They're all infused with lightning and they all gain an insane amount of speed. So even his light punch version of his fireball is really fast, and it will catch your opponent off guard, man, when you're spamming them. So light, medium, hard, all enhanced speed, enhanced damage, and stun. You also have the ability to charge the fireball now. Now, it takes a couple seconds for a normal version of the fireball to charge. You cannot cancel out of the animation. You can only release the fireball. So you have to commit, and you have to be very careful when you're spamming this and charging the fireballs, because you can either jump in clean and take some insane damage like I did when I was playing at E3. Anyways, when you charge it about halfway, the fireball becomes 2 hits, which is pretty much the EX version. Anything that the EX version will beat, such as other characters' V skills that can only absorb or nullify 1 hit, will get straight up beat out by this. So it's like having as many EX fireballs as you want, as long as you charge it just a little bit. When you charge it all the way, it will do 3 hits and cause a massive amount of stun. We are talking about from just 0% stun, a fully charged clean hit fireball will do 80% stun on the opponent. So if they get hit by this, they're in serious trouble. They'll probably be dizzy straight out. So they gotta be really careful. Another thing too is if you have a fully charged fireball and the opponent blocks it, they will get guard crushed automatically. Now the guard crush animation is not that long. You have to really anticipate it. If they're about mid-screen away, you'll have enough time to actually hurricane kick them. But if you're close to them, that's when you can really punish them. If they're full screen, I don't know if you can really land anything. You might be able to land your super. Now the EX version of the fireball during V trigger charges up at about half the time, I would say. So it's same thing, man. It will get an extra 3 hits on top of the properties. I think it'll do 5 hits total. Cause a massive amount of stun, and it comes out really fast, super turbo fast. And you can actually like do a jumping hard kick and a crouching medium kick on the opponent, and if he chooses to block those normals, you could try to squeeze out an EX charged fireball because it comes out so fast he won't expect it, and you can force him basically to get guard crushed and then punish him afterwards. So it's a pretty good gimmick. I think that'll be some like day 1 shit, and then eventually people will catch on. Now for Ryu's V trigger with his Hurricane Kick, I honestly didn't see a difference. I wouldn't be surprised if it causes more stun though, and maybe a little bit more damage. But visually, it doesn't look different at all. It doesn't look like it's infused with lightning, unless you do the EX version, of course. Anyways, so let's talk about his Dragon Punch during V trigger. Nothing really changed with the frame data on the Dragon Punch. Like, it doesn't look like it comes out faster or anything like that, but it definitely does more stun and damage, and it's visually different as well. It's infused with lightning, but for the most part it just looks like a more damaging, more stun Dragon Punch. Okay, let's talk about Ryu's normal super now. For the most part, just like Ryu's Ultra 1 in Street Fighter 4, or kind of like his super as well. It's very easy to special cancel on it, especially after a low medium kick, for example, with Ryu. For the most part, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just a big multi-hitting projectile attack. Now, Ryu is one of the very few characters that actually changes his super when his V trigger is active and he gets the Denjin Fireball. Now, the Denjin is pretty crazy. It causes a massive amount of stun, more damage, and it actually drains your entire V gauge. No matter what the timer is, you'll lose your entire V trigger the second you use this super. So keep that in mind. It's something you kind of want to use as a finisher or to close the round. It's not something you want to do right away. But another thing it does too is that it causes an automatic guard crush if the opponent blocks it. So you can do some crazy stuff like low medium kick, into Denjin and cause an automatic guard crush and get a full combo off your opponent. So this will be really scary, especially up close. So it might be worth blowing all the meter just to get a free combo on somebody. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about Ryu's V skill now. This is one of the most unique V skills in the game. This calls Mind's Eye. It's basically a parry, like third strike styles, but it's not quite as good as a parry is. So let me explain what happens here. You press both the medium buttons and then Ryu goes into a stance, and then for a short window he will parry the next attack. He will also gain V gauge if he successfully parries an attack. Now, the thing is that Ryu cannot actually cancel out of the parry until it is recovered. So there is a recovery animation to this parry. So for example, you can't just say someone's jumping in on you and then you parry them. You can't exactly just cancel that straight into a Dragon Punch, for example, and anti-air him. You have to wait for the recovery to finish and then the uppercut will come out. So if I buffer the Dragon Punch motion during this, it's stored and then it will actually just come out when Ryu's finished. So you can't exactly punish everything with this. So if someone did a light punch, for example, and you parried it, you'll definitely not have enough time to punish them because they will recover before you do almost. So this is something very, very important to know. You can't just use it for everything. It's definitely something that you have to use it on slower attacks, I would say. Now, the one thing you can cancel this V skill is itself. So Ryu can actually parry multiple amount of times, as many times as he wants, basically. And this is something really important to know, because if someone throws like an EX Fireball on you, for example, and you parry both hits, you're going to get a ton of V gauge. He gains a third, I think, on every successful parry. So he will build bar very, very fast. You just have to keep in mind, like I said, that he has to recover the animation from it. Another example is when I was playing E3, I was playing against another Ryu player, and he did crouching medium kick on me into super. Now, I parried that crouching medium kick, and then the super animation started, and the screen was frozen. Now, during this time, all I did was just hold block. I just crouched and held block, and then the super hit me. So, the only thing I could have did in that situation is parry the rest of the hits. So that's what I mean as another example. Another huge weakness with this parry is the fact that Ryu, during his recovery animation, if he gets hit, it's a guaranteed counter hit. So this is very, very scary. If you're just spamming this move and your opponent is familiar with the new crush counter system, you're going to be eating some really, really bad combos. So keep this in mind. There's a lot of good things about this parry though. One thing you guys should keep in mind is I can parry both sides of Ryu. So if they cross you up, you can still use it. It doesn't matter what side the opponent's on. And you can still parry low attacks and high attacks and mid attacks. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to worry about changing, holding a different direction or something when you use your V skill. It will basically parry everything. Except for throws, of course. Anything that's unblockable, for example. Let's talk about Ryu's V reversal. While blocking, press forward in 3 punches. Basically, Ryu just hits him with this close range looking fireball attack and it knocks him down. Nothing crazy, creates some space, good to use when you're stuck in the corner, but that's about it. Okay, so that does it for the Ryu breakdown. Hopefully that's enough information for you guys to get started on the beta. Ryu, for the most part, is a very familiar character and they designed him that way so you can jump right into the game. But he does have some new stuff to experiment with, so especially use that crush counter system. I'm gonna post some combos in the video description below for you guys to check out to give you a little head start here, because he does have some extra things that he can juggle off of, like his light hurricane kick, for example. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.